No, I went to the first one they did.
Oh, only the first one? But he actually organized and ran all of the Star Trek cruises from
87 to 2007. 12 of them.
Good guy to talk to when we get to the end. Good guy to talk to.
No, actually, Robin Curtis did that.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. So let's just talk about plantons for a second, and just if I could scoot in here. So this is a typical planton that was created. It's not, you know, this planton was not created from styrofoam. This was just kind of manufactured. And the whole idea, if the lights are in your eyes, you can come on this side. You can come right here. Okay. So the whole idea is this is supposed to be background material, nothing more, right? So the actor's here, this is in the back. If your viewer is paying more attention to this than your actor, either your actor's not doing a good job or your story's not doing a good job, right? But look at this for a second. Look at this for a second. Is a paint roller, right? Exactly. Piece of plastic, electrical box, a wheel from a chair that they didn't tell people didn't have a wheel on it until I sat in it. Okay, this is just all constructed. It's a piece of wood, nothing more than a piece of wood. And you put it all together, you color it, and it just becomes background material. Background material. All right, we're going to go this way left, and we're going to go to our Jeffries tube. Now, somebody recognized the aux control as being from the Doomsday Machine. Well, that's where you probably would have at least seen the Jeffries tube, where Scotty walked up because he had to fix the transporter to get Kirk back to the Enterprise. Why is it called a Jeffries tube? So we haven't talked about this person, but the man who's responsible for almost every design in Star Trek is Matt Jeffries. And Matt created the ship designs, he created the weapon designs, he created the set designs, and they needed something that would look impressive for Scotty to climb up. So he created this tube. And when he was done, they needed a name for it. And somebody said, well, it's Jeffries tube. And the name just stuck. The name just stuck. The other thing that's kind of cool about the tube, and it's in a couple of different locations, but you'll notice in a lot of places there's some number or letter configuration on the pipes. So the A79, I think there's B12, P12, RMM. They meant nothing. They mean nothing today. They meant nothing. Okay? It was just to make it look like it was part of the future. There's one thing that actually means something, and it was a joke amongst the production people at Star Trek, and it's in many places in Trek, and it's been used in many sets since on other series. And there's a pipe here, and the pipe says GNDN. GNDN. You know what it means.
Goes nowhere, does nothing.
Goes nowhere, does nothing.
I love it.
And it was just a joke amongst the crew who was putting these things together. So we'll come on this way. We're at the end of our corridor. And I mentioned that this is where engineering would have been in the original set design. So you can see this is where it would have been. This is a tri-ladder they came up with. And again, just to give the impression that there were more people on the ship, they could have multiple people climbing up the ladder at one time. Here's a brig. Because, you know, what ship is, you know, doesn't have some sort of a jail? The interesting thing about this one, oh, and I just thought of something I missed telling you in the briefing room, so I am going to tell you, and you can go back and look at it if you want. But the interesting thing about this design was, if you're filming something in a jail today, or even back then, the person's standing behind bars, so you don't have a clear view of the actor. Here you have a clear view of the actor. Whether or not that was by design or not, and I tend to think it was by design, something fascinating. Before we walk out of this set and into the next one, something I forgot to mention, which was something I never knew until very recently, when we were in the briefing room talking about Star Trek and, the ship and all of that, Gene Roddenberry imagined that Star Trek was the Navy. Starfleet was the Navy. And therefore, the Enterprise would have been a naval vessel. When you're done here, take a walk back to the briefing room and look at the briefing room table. And you will notice that the briefing room is shaped like an aircraft carrier. The table is. Somebody came up with that idea. Not me. So we are at the end, and I'm going to take you to our final set. So come around the door, and I'm going to stop talking for a little while. Just come on in, guys. Sorry. Just so we get our people inside. Here you go. Welcome. And again, the good news is you can walk in.
This is the end, or you do the bridge? You start the bridge, don't you?
No, this is the end. The next one will start back here. So come on out.
Yeah.
So
You need to take
everybody, I think
need to
most
take
of
the
you
chair
have
later on,
met
too.
Robin Curtis.
Oh, sorry. I didn't realize you was there.
Yeah.
What's up? Your voice in my ear.
I think Joe Motes was more famous than you when I introduced him. So, made for dimension, made by the original Scott. One of the designers who designed both the chair, which we have blueprints to, we're actually next weekend making 2 new chairs. One of them is going to be a hero chair to replace this one when we're filming. And the other one's going to be a working chair with buttons and lights and sound effects for you guys. Maybe not for you guys. But the gentleman who worked on a lot of these designs for Star Trek Continues was Will Smith. Not the actor Will Smith, but a different Will Smith. And he actually reconfigured the helm that was in storage. That's, I think, in the Smithsonian now. I know it's somewhere on display. But he had to redesign it because it was just completely a mess. Completely a mess. And this is our view screen wall, which went up in May through some generous contributions of our fans or a Facebook ad that I ran. And we're very proud of it. Again, Will really scoped that out, everything that you see to the left and the right, including the screen. But we're very proud of it. You'll see this elsewhere, but maybe not in necessarily these dimensions. But this really emulates what they did in the original series. So I have a funny story about the view screen. So we had another gentleman come down. His name was Ralph Miller. And you'll see Ralph's name, you remember Ralph. And you'll see Ralph's name on the wall. I have a wall of donors and people who contributed their time. So Ralph really designed this. He figured out where to get the blue LED pattern. And that's a rear projector screen that's up on the wall. And Ralph wired everything. He wired everything, the blues. And it looked beautiful when he wired it. It looked beautiful. So we left for the day, we came back the following day when we were supposed to have people coming through, and he turned it on, and the bottom lights didn't go on. And he couldn't figure out why. So he took the whole thing apart and realized, don't ask me how they were on. He never wired the bottom row. So he had to rewire the row, put it in, and he was done. But in order to get from behind to the front to do the wiring, he took the view screen and just put it up over his head. Draped it over his head. And when he was done, he had his soldering iron in his hand and he went, "Eureka!" and put it right through the screen. So for a while, we had a piece of black wood up there. But we went out and got a new screen, and I think it looks terrific, but that's me. So you guys, a couple of things. You are free to sit in the captain's chair, take pictures, sit anywhere you like on the bridge. Robin is here, and she's here to take pictures with you guys, and She's gonna do a Q&A panel with you, and then there's autographs over on the side. So I'm just gonna ask you guys to have a lot of fun, and I hope you